We're listening to the West Australian Premier Mark McGowan. He's addressing the Perth Mint scandal we've heard about in the past 48 hours.
The remainder will be copper or lead. What was done in the case of the Perth Mint is they went above half of that 0.01% silver. They went to 20 parts per million of silver rather than slightly less than that. So they went to 70 parts per million of silver rather than 50 parts per million. So they went 20 parts per million above what the Shanghai Gold Exchange expected. So that's the technical issue as to what occurred. Obviously, it's not an issue in any other gold exchange apart from the Shanghai Gold Exchange, where they have this rule around the silver component. When they learnt that there was an issue, they've rectified it.
When did Bill Johnson or anyone else in your government become aware that Shanghai Gold Exchange had raised these concerns and that the Mint was facing potentially buying back 100 tonnes of bullion with the taxpayer on the line? The second
part of your question, I'm advised, is extremely unlikely. In relation to the first part of your question, I'm advised he was informed last year, but the issue came to the attention of the management and board of the Perth Mint in September of 2021, when they learnt that there was I think it was a few gold bars that had been brought to attention by the Shanghai Gold Exchange. They changed the arrangements. The minister was informed the following year.
Why did the public and potentially you to...
Sorry?
Who made the decision to increase that half 0.1%
I don't know the exact answer to that. I assume... Okay. I don't know the exact name of the person. I understand it was a management decision to try and maximise the value for the Perth Mint.
At what level of management?
I don't know the answer to that, I'm sorry. Well, I know that it was a decision by the Perth Mint, an operational decision, and that's what mints do all over the world, to try and maximise value. But the gold component of the gold bars that the West Australian Mint sells is above 99.99%, which is international best practice. The issue, and it's complex, and I know it's complex, it's the 0.01% that is not gold in a gold bar. Ordinarily, that is silver, lead and copper, a mixture of those things. For some reason, and I don't know why, the Shanghai Gold Exchange requests that only half of that 0.01% can be silver, and the remaining half needs to be copper or lead. I don't have the answer to that question.
Surely the board would have signed off on that decision.
I'm advised it was an operational decision.
So Bill Johnson was aware of that last year. Why did you and the public only learn of it on Monday?
I missed the first part of your question, James.
Bill Johnson was aware of Shanghai Gold Exchange's concerns last year. Can you tell us when last year? And why is it that yourself, you said, and the public and taxpayers only became aware of this on Monday? You said the risk of having to buy back gold is unlikely. How do we know that that isn't still a risk, that customers won't still come and ask for what they pay for?
I didn't say unlikely, I said extremely unlikely. The minister was advised last year. It was an operational matter that was resolved with the purchases of the gold at the Shanghai Gold Exchange. So the matter was resolved.
You weren't told?
No, I wasn't. I said that before.
The issue was raised with the Perth Mint in September 2021, and you're saying that the minister only found out in 2022, so at least 4 or 5 months later.
Correct.
And also at the time, so the Mint proactively decided to embark on this doping program, taking it down from 0.996 to 0.992 in 2018, and you were responsible for the Mint. You had no knowledge of that at the time. Just
No.
to be clear.
Yes.
And for the next 3 years that this was going on, it was never brought to your attention.
No, we've done a full check of everything that, all briefing notes and so forth, and no, I wasn't advised.
And the Under-Treasurer has a delegate that sits on the Perth Mint board. Would you have expected that person to have knowledge of this, or to have raised it with
Well,
the Treasurer?
I'm advised the board was informed in September 2021. The minister was informed last year, I'm advised, and the matter was rectified.
Is it something that the board chair should have been across? I mean, do you still have confidence in the board chair?
Yes, I do.
This happened on his
Well,
watch.
he's been the chairman since 2019. In and you still have faith in?
Yes, I do.
What was his knowledge? If you ask Sam Walsh what his knowledge was of all of this?
No, I've spoken to the CEO of the Mint a number of times over the course of the last day or so, and he advises me the board was informed in September 2021.
We've been told that the financial benefit to be gained from the doping program was something like $600,000. In the scheme of what Perth Mint deals with, is that reward worth the risk of what was potentially on the line with up to almost $9 billion worth of gold having been brought back by a state-owned company backed by the taxpayer? Was the Mint playing fast and loose with the taxpayer dying?
Look, I'm advised mints all over the world. So there's mints in South Africa, various countries around the world. Even countries that aren't major gold producers might have a mint. I'm advised they try to maximise value within the rules. And the Perth Mint tried to maximise value within the rules. And for 4 of the world's 5 gold exchanges, the content of silver was fine. For 1 gold exchange, they had a specific rule around the content of silver, so our content of silver was 70 parts per million as opposed to their rule, which is 50 parts per million, in a few gold bars that were identified. So as soon as that was brought to attention, they made sure that they went back to a requirement for gold in each gold bar of 99.996% rather than 99.992% gold. So, they realised that to the really quite minuscule degree, a breach of the Shanghai Gold Exchange rules was identified in a few gold bars, and they wanted to make sure that that didn't happen again.
The Mint tried to cover it up. The Mint tried to cover it up at the time.
I'm so you're talking.
The internal report that the Perth Mint commissioned at the time, the documents disclosed by Four Corners showed the Mint tried to cover this up. When the customer raised concerns, they had an assay test that had failed, and they didn't tell the Shanghai Gold Exchange about it. Was that a mistake? Should they have been more forthcoming?
I'm advised that the assay test was conducted by the Shanghai Gold Exchange and then advised to the Perth Mint. So that's where that occurred. And so once that was advised to the Perth Mint, they changed their practices. They reduced the amount of silver in each gold bar from 70 parts per million to below 50 parts per million.
And the new CEO said that this shouldn't have happened yesterday. Do you agree with that? The doping program should not have been embarked on in the first place?
Alloying has been around for centuries. In fact, if you go back, you'll find it was around in Roman times. So this is something that when gold has been produced, there's always been alloying because you can't get to 100% gold content. So it's what else is in there. So silver, copper and lead is in there. They went 20 parts per million above what was acceptable by the Shanghai Gold Exchange in terms of the silver content as opposed to copper or lead. It was identified, as I said, in a few gold bars. They've made sure that the mistake won't happen again.
Was that risk worth it?
The WA Premier, they're getting a grilling from local reporters after that Four Corners investigation this week, which found the Perth Mint failed to meet anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism responsibilities over several years. The problem for Mark McGowan is that WA taxpayers may now have to foot the bill, and that could be hundreds of millions of dollars when it comes to anti-money laundering fines.